Okay. So again, if anybody wants to speak up, please just, unmute. I'll see it. I'll see that you want to say something, and then, yeah.
Rich, I was just going to add, like, I think in terms of us discussing, what this space could be for everyone, like you mentioned, relational dynamics, and I know part of the intention here is to invite everyone. You mentioned, like, bring their projects, bring your work, bring your research, bring your lives, and like through that sharing, that relational dynamic will be created here in that very space, and the entanglement that Rich is about to talk about will also start to show itself here in this space. And so that's part of what we're trying to create here. It's much less of a, yes, there's concepts and principles that Rich can sit here and tell us about, but the way that they get activated is when Vicky shows up and says, hey, I had this thing that happened this week, and like I'm trying to figure out like where the Oika is in it, or like how do we make the entanglement more resilient here, and then we all have a conversation, bringing our own expertise, our own like lives into this conversation. And that way the concepts and the principles grow, they get infused into the conversation and the space and us. And Rich, I hope this is right, but I just wanted to kind of make that part clear, because that's the kind of goal here, is to kind of show up together and infuse these principles and help each other see how these principles are embedded in everything that we're doing, and how we can kind of conjure them and make them work in all the spaces that we're all individually working in.
Yeah. So, Just, I see your hand. So, yeah, you could say something, but I just want to affirm what she's saying. And I think what she's saying is that we'll talk about this stuff here, but when you go up back into life, you start to experience these things. And fractals are probably the easiest way that I've seen it happen. So we'll talk about fractals and how they show up and how they can be felt. And when you feel it, make a note of it, and then come back to the call the next time and talk about it, share your experience. And that's so we're making the concepts lived experiences, and that's how we integrate into life. And hopefully it will grow from that too, just to be in real life connections that we make. If I get on the road later on, wherever you are, I'll come see you and we'll do something. We'll manifest it in real life, so that it's not just conversation. Even though conversation is really important, it's not just conversation. So, yeah, Just, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
A couple of things there. One is that collaborative piece that I always thought we needed, and there's also something to that called momentum. And when you have the ability to come back to a space and have a conversation, and then go back out, that creates momentum, right?
Yeah.
Even just that motion. And then I'll share an analogy that not everybody will get, unfortunately, because it's U.S. centric. But like in a football team, you have a huddle, or other sports as well. But you have a huddle, right? And you come in and you talk about the next play, and then you go out and do it.
Nice.
And that's pretty allegoric to what you're saying, right? The huddle is almost meaningless. It's the planning, but nothing's happening there. But then you go out and you actually do it. And so this becomes sort of our huddle. It's an opportunity to get on the same page, to hear different perspectives, to figure out, like Rita said, I thought really important, what is Oika? If somebody doesn't quite sure how is what I'm doing Oika, and you have all of a sudden all these brilliant minds that say, oh, well, this is how I see it. It just amplifies everything.